How did the Georgia Bulldogs get to the top of the heap? Okay, we got another Seth Emerson certified banger. If you're a UGA Bulldog fan out there, as Seth has a great piece on The Athletic right now, and it's kind of exploring this idea. How did Georgia go from a team that hadn't won a natty in 40 years to now a team just a few years later has two natties? Looks like they're closing in on three, and according to a survey conducted at a high school football All-American game back in January by 247 Sports, all the recruits of the game said Georgia had the best facilities, bar none. Like, they won the anonymous All-American poll. So how did it happen this quickly? And it's a very great piece, Aaron. I'm going to lean on you for insight here, but real quick off the jump, this is what I'll say. You know this. One of my favorite parts of college football is how it tends to mirror kind of historical warfare, right? Or historical politics and almost medieval and feel. I always go back to Roman history, like these head coaches kind of being these politician generals. And one of my favorite things to watch is the economic impact, right? The literal benefits of conquest. You saw T-Town go from being Alabama, the easiest school to get into out of state back in 2007, kind of not a decrepit town, right? But just a normal college town, to now it's got this thriving local economy, new buildings everywhere you look, new fountains, aesthetically more pleased than ever been, new businesses being, popping up by the day. And it's because Nick Saban created conquest, right? Well, the same way UGA are feeling said benefits. They just built an $80 million football ops building, $63 million recruiting room and locker room at Sanford Stadium, $32 million indoor facility. They're paying Kirby $111 million during the spring game. Why was half of Sanford Stadium closed down? For construction. And it's just like back in these Roman times, dude. You go, you conquer your opponents, you pillage their lands, you bring back the bullion, you bring back the booty, and then you build temples, you build shrines, statues, so that future generations may look upon what you wrought and despair. And guess who's the happiest are? The people, okay? Because they enjoy the riches as well. It trickles down. It's just wild how much growth you're seeing out of Athens. And quite frankly, it makes them very scary going forward, Aaron, as this kind of feels pretty sustainable.
Yeah, well, it is. And I will say this as someone who lived kind of before all this amazing success is they stopped being penny pitchers, man. We had, remember, we didn't have an indoor. I kind of like Georgia and Florida the same way, in the sense of like, we just feel like there's a sense of like our brand will carry us. We don't need to go above and beyond to give the student athlete the best experience. And like, I'm not saying like my experience was crappy at all, but like we did not have anywhere near, for being the University of Georgia, a big time program with big time recruits and an incredible campus and the SEC. It didn't feel like that at the facilities. We had average facilities. Remember heading into my junior year, they're like, oh, we're going to renovate. We're going to put in figure out X amount of dollars and finally get going with facilities to compete with everyone else in the Southeastern Conference. And we built a 20 by 40 indoor facility, 20 by 40, not a full indoor, a 20 by 40 that was more used for dinner functions and fundraisers than what we could do for practice. If it was raining outside, we had to come indoors, split it down the middle. So now it's 10 by 20 and do walkthroughs. If it was raining in the summertime, all I could do was run slants and hitches. That's it. Slants and hitches, maybe a 10-yard dig. That's it. That's all we could do, because we didn't want to build a full indoor. No, that's too much money. Let's just give them something. That way we can say we have an indoor at Georgia. Just stuff like that. And you just kind of scratch your head, like, why aren't we putting ourselves in the situation to maximize the experience for the student athlete? I mean, heading into my senior year, I swear to God, it rained every single day. Every day. That was about 10 to 15 missed opportunities to do 7-on-7, routes on air, one-on-ones, because we didn't have an indoor facility to throw the football in, because they try to take the easiest path and save some money. Kirby comes in there and says, hell no. And this was actually just before Kirby. I think this was actually Jeremy Pruitt came. This was in 14-15, so when Rick was still the head coach. And Pruitt literally said, what the hell are we doing here? Pruitt was the one that really got things going with the indoor. Indoor gets built with Kirby. New facilities are there. You go there now. I mean, they have a 5-star chef that cooks you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You got incredible weight room that essentially the entire team can have its own damn squat rack. You have an incredible indoor facility. You got Ron Corson with all the things that you need from a rehab standpoint. The locker room is spectacular. I mean, you don't have to leave the facilities. They have a damn golf simulator, for goodness sakes, a barber, all the works now. Like there is not one thing that these kids don't have to make sure that they're as healthy, as strong, and as productive as they can be when they're in there for those 4 or 5 years that they're on campus. So yeah, that's the difference. It went from how do we save money and be penny pitchers to let's spend, put our guys in a situation that they can go out there and perform at their best. And now you're seeing it with back-to-back national championships.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to describe them as penny pinchers, and I think Breaking Parallel said in the chat earlier, he's like, it just all comes down to Kirby, right? And that's where I go back to all these Roman parallels, right? Because in those times, the politician general, like they kind of decided their own fate in a lot of ways. These larger than life, like your Caesars, your Pompeys, that were able to kind of write their name and make it immortal in that same way. It's your Sabans, your Kirbys that are able to suddenly get a school that has traditionally not wanted to invest. It now, how about this? This is a fact from USA Today, from a USA Today study. No one in the country spends more on recruiting than do the Georgia Bulldogs. And you just heard Aaron say as recently as 6, 7, 8 years ago, describe them as penny pinchers. I mean, it is shocking that in 2014, the Georgia Bulldogs did not have a full 100-yard indoor. Like truly, truly boggles the mind. I think LSU's had one since, since 06, 05, maybe something around there. Right. But the danger is somebody in chat described Georgia as a sleeping giant. And that's where this gets a bit terrifying. Right. Because now you have the guy and you have a thriving economy, in terms, like the state economy, right? The money that people have to funnel into the program. And you have a thriving school because they're constantly playing for championships. Like, think about what you pay for a 30-second advertisement in the national championship. And then understand for the last 2 years that Georgia has constantly been on those stages with their brand being put out there in a positive manner. It just all creates money. Right. And then like I said, now with Kirby, though, they're willing to put the money back into the program. So the most money recruiting. How do you keep your soldiers happy? You freaking pay them. Okay. Your best generals, you pay them. They just paid Trey Scott he got the defensive line coach at Georgia. The defensive line coach at Georgia is making $1 million a year. After LSU flirted with him a little bit here, they need a D-line coach. Kane goes to the NFL. They give him a raise, second raise of this offseason, to $1 million a year to keep him in Athens, which also tells me Georgia, LSU in the Kelly Woodward era is down to clown as well, because the only way that gets to $1 million is if LSU was like, hey, we'll pay you like 900 or something along those lines. So they have the right guy. Here's the last dangerous part about Georgia. So there's an awesome Athletic article where they looked at 10 years of recruiting and development. They try to say, okay, who put the most 5 stars in the NFL, who the most 4 stars, most 3 stars. One of the things within this article is that they learned that Louisiana is number 2 per capita in terms of producing NFL players. Who's number 1? Georgia. Where that gets extra dangerous, as I said, per capita, right? Louisiana has a very, very, very small population. Very small, right? Georgia has a massive population, and yet they're still number 1 per capita. And guess what? Don't give me any Georgia Tech bullshit, Aaron Murray. Georgia is in the same situation that LSU is. There is no other flagship. Georgia Tech is not taking a recruit from Georgia. So here you have a perfect storm of good if you are a Georgia Bulldog fan, where you have the innate geographical advantages, you have better natural talent than anyone in the entire state, you've got the right general, and now you have economic buy-in from the people who control the purse strings. It is scary right now for the rest of college football.
Well, Nick Saban said it when Kirby took it over the job. He took the job. He said Athens is a sleeping giant. I mean, you just brought up Tuscaloosa, 10 minutes ago, and you said it was not maybe an incredible destination, and now all of a sudden it is completely transformed over the past decade plus because of all the money, the attention, the championships, Nick Saban, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Athens was in a great spot before that with everything else. I mean, the facilities needed an upgrade, but you and I know, and everyone here in the Southeast knows that Athens as a town and as a campus, you can't beat it. It always ranked as one of the best downtowns, one of the best student environments. You're an hour proximity away from Atlanta, which is the biggest city here in the Southeast. Great weather, education wise, number 3 in the SEC. Like, you had everything ready to go from everything outside of the facility, from, like I said, the education, the being a normal student, activities, etc. Now you just need someone to take care of the facilities and the winning mentality. And we all knew Kirby was that guy based on what he did with Alabama and under Nick Saban. So that was the final piece. That was it. You just needed that general to be plugged into the football side of it. And now you got the full package. You do. You have literally the entire package. And I sound like a damn car salesman here, pumping up my alma mater, but it's true. Where else can you get the football, the academics, the experience, the city, proximity to a major city? Where else can you get it right now?